Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Collider Connected. Mighty hyped for this one because I'm a big fan of the person that I'm like kind of sitting next to now. Amanda Seyfried's here. How are you doing?
Hi, we're sitting across from each other.
Yeah, in some sense, but I'm psyched to have you on this show in particular. One, because obviously I'm just so excited about Mank, but also because I'm a big fan of your filmography in general. So it's nice to get a chance to go through some of it.
Thanks. Okay, yeah, let's go down memory lane.
I am going back to the very, very beginning, and I wanted to know, is there anything about your early soap opera experience that's come in handy now that might have surprised you?
I don't know if this is true, but I believe learning that many lines at that age, that fast, really set a good foundation for me, for my brain to memorize lines. I mean, memorizing lines is like it's everything for actors. So I think that was just a lot of, it was just like the Olympics. The scenes were just, you had so many scenes in a day. The episode, there was a whole episode shot in one day. I think that was really good practice.
Just because I'm curious now, because we recently had a guest on one of our shows who like really broke it down into detail, and I didn't realize how much can go into this. What is your process for memorizing lines? Do you have any like tools or tricks or methods that you use?
I was using Line Learner, the Line Learner app, for a little while, and I actually just recently deleted it because I was like, I haven't used it in a while. I think what works for me is to just read it over and over and over again with somebody else. It's not just reading the lines, it's you have to say it out loud to somebody else. Even if there's nobody there, it's to a wall. You just have to say it, and then if you forget a word, you look down until you get it, and you can say it to the wall without looking down. It's a repetition. It's for me, I mean, I think it's probably good for everybody.
It sounds like there's some sort of connection there between that and my failure to ever learn a foreign language, because I never actually used it. It was just studying and then never applied.
Yeah, you have to apply it. Essentially, that's where you're gonna get the goods. That's where it's gonna really, burn into your system.
Early auditions now. I wanted to ask you about two that wound up turning out to be great things, but didn't exactly pan out the way that you might have hoped initially, specifically Mean Girls and Veronica Mars, especially when you're first starting out at that point. Is there kind of a bummer component to going in, not getting the part that you auditioned for, even though you wound up with something great in both projects?
Absolutely no bummer with Mean Girls. I had never done a movie. I had just gotten let go from All My Children. I would have played a fly. I would have done anything. So no, that was excitement all around. I was thrilled. And with Veronica Mars, I don't know if I actually felt ready to be the lead in a show. I don't think I was there. It was the third job I had ever gotten outside of the soap opera world. So I don't think I was very bummed either for that. I mean, listen, there are other roles that I would have preferred to play in some of the earlier movies, but those weren't. I was happy with those roles.
Going to Mean Girls and it being your first feature film experience, even though you had had all that experience on As the World Turns and All My Children, was there anything about being on a feature film set that kind of made you go, I can't believe that this is how this works?
Food, so much food. Craft services. Didn't know what that craft services. I don't get it. I still don't get it. I don't know why it's called craft services, but I was shocked at the amount of free food that was available for me any hour of the day. The catering was, I had to wear a girdle on that set. It was the first experience I'd had with Spanx. And the funny thing is, I was wearing like a thong Spank thing, but I wore bikini briefs underneath it because I wasn't a thong person at that point yet. And so I didn't even know to ask for like a full coverage bottom Spanx situation. It was, man, a lot of things that I didn't know, but I ate a lot, had a lot of fun, and I was shocked at how much free food there was. I don't know why. Just the thing that stands out.
I feel like on a movie set, like just having coffee and the right snacks at your fingertip is just it's key to energy too and staying focused. So I kind of understand the attention to
It's
that.
really distracting, actually. Most of my career, everybody's always like, "Where's you have eyes on Amanda?" Always at craft service, always. I would
What's the
think that,
onset vice?
well, in the beginning, it was donuts and bagels. I mean, God, you don't even understand. You don't know. You just don't know. I mean, let's talk about Big Love. Jesus, at 3 tables, and they always had fresh donuts. I ate apple fritters every day when I was working on this show. I was on the show called Justice with Victor Garber. It was a short-lived show, but I was a guest star, and every day there were apple fritters, and I just had an issue. I just couldn't stop.
I feel you. As someone who was living in LA but came back to New York for a lockdown to be with my family, I have been eating bagels nonstop because a bagel in New York and a bagel in LA is night and day.
It's the water. They say it's the water.
I don't care what it is. I believe in the difference. These bagels are great.
No, I
Back
get
to
it.
Mean Girls, just from a performance perspective, and also because I love talking about what it means to be number one on the call sheet or a big name producer on a film and how you're able to set the tone. So, what did you take from that experience and the folks that you worked with that you then brought to other films where you were number one on the call sheet and you were the leader there?
What I learned, yeah, in some way, being number one on the call sheet is like being the leader of your troupe. The director is the leader of the project, the leader of the troupe can sometimes, you set the tone. And I think, I mean, if you're going to set the right tone and you want people to be on time and to know their lines and to trust you, you got to do the same things. And it's really easy to show up and do the work and have fun and be somewhat relaxed. I mean, nobody wants, no, I don't think most people don't want to show up on set with people that aren't really thrilled to be there and are less than prepared. And, it just was very simple, very simple.
Can understand that. Over the years, I'm curious, a big, broad acting question. Whose process would you say aligned with yours the most, and who challenged you to adapt the most for the better?
That's such a good question. My my best friend Jennifer actually challenges me to. I mean, we've only worked together for like a couple scenes once, and I think that I mean, I don't know, her process is very different than mine, but we always come to the same conclusions. I don't know how that. She just, to me, I feel lazy compared to her, and she would be like, "You're crazy," but I think that there's so much thought and there's that goes behind every single moment and every single choice she makes that I just don't. I'm more broad in a lot of ways, and she what she's done for me is really helped me find those little tiny, like, just even like what you might be like, if a scene is hard. She's like an acting coach for me. I know that's not exactly the answer to that question, but she really is the actor that has made me adapt the most into that view, and that using those tools, those untapped tools that I know I have, that she's honed because she went to Juilliard and she's done a lot of theater, and she's just so amazing. And I've needed that. And then I think the person who I found surprisingly works most like me. And I don't know if her process is exactly the same as mine, but we have the same demeanor on set. It was Julianne Moore. Um, Gary Oldman's quite like that too, but Julianne Moore and I could be having a conversation and laughing hysterically about something or reading a magazine together. And then they'd be like, "All right, action." And we'd be like, "Oh, oh my God, we were cut from the same cloth." This is so comforting because we're doing a really intense movie together, and we can just, I mean, we're prepared enough to just show up at action, but we don't have to sit with headphones on in the corner for hours before we, you know what I mean? And that's a process that I respect for certain people. But it's always a little intimidating for me when I feel like I'm like, okay, I'm here. And then, you know, we're just waiting for someone to, feel comfortable and I feel ready. And it's just, that's not how I work. So it's always, I don't know. I'm not judging it. I get intimidated easily. And then I start feeling like I'm not doing enough anyway.
Based on some of the conversations that I've had over the years, it seems like Julianne in particular, like she probably suits what I was describing earlier as just like a good leader on set who just makes everyone
Yeah.
feel comfortable and ups the energy, or at least based on, I interviewed her for the Glorias recently, and the other folks at the junket basically described her as just this big ball of energy that made everyone feel welcome and basically kind of gave them license to try things.
Yep. Yeah, you feel safe. You're like, I can, she's not precious. She's not going to get mad. She's not, she's super happy to be there and really good at her job and is super present, just like Gary.
I love hearing that, especially about people I admire like them.
Yes, same, very much same. I do not want to be disappointed with people I look up to.
Yep. I share that. I don't want to move too far ahead without touching on Big Love, because that seemed like it could have been a very big moment for you, specifically when you decided to leave the show. And I am curious, what was driving the interest at that point in your career to put the focus on film in particular?
I had gotten Mamma Mia and I shot Mamma Mia with the same people that produced Big Love and Playtone. And I wasn't, there was just not enough work to make it make sense. The story wasn't about me, and that's fine. It was always an ensemble, and it was mostly surrounded the wives. Those are the meaty parts. Not to say that I didn't have some fantastic writing and some fantastic scenes and storylines. I mean, Big Love is really important to me and important for my career. But by the end, it was just like, I can't hold babies anymore. I mean, there's just like, I have to capitalize on this moment. I remember when I got Mamma Mia, when I found out I had gotten it, I was back on set, and this was before we shot it, of course. And Bill Paxton comes around the corner of the production office and like puts his arms out. And he's like, "You did it." And I ran into his arms and he picked me up and spun me around. And it was like, he was very much like a father to me. And it was so wonderful because I had all the support of them too. So much support from my Big Love family. And of course, those run deep. Those ties run really deep. So that was definitely, it was time to go.
Man, I love hearing your stories about these collaborations, because I know this can be a stressful industry, but just hearing people supporting other people is kind of why I love doing these interviews and putting those things out there.
This is why I don't understand why older actors there are certain older actors that are just not cool with younger actors stepping into. I think from my perspective, I think it's fear of them stepping into their shoes and taking the spotlight away or whatever that is. But there were a few people when I was younger that were like, I don't know what it was, but they were just not supportive of me, and they did not guide me. They were not warm. They were so backwards, because I see younger actors and all I want to do is invite them in if they want advice. Fantastic. I also love giving advice. So I love when people ask me for advice, but like, it just doesn't make sense to me why you wouldn't want to help guide someone in and be like, hey, look, I got to do all these cool things and I'm sane and I still love my job. And, whatever.
I share that feeling. And actually, this could be a good transition to Mank, because perhaps you do this, I don't know, but do you ever ask other people for advice, particularly when it comes to their experience working with a certain filmmaker, like perhaps David Fincher?
I didn't really have anybody to talk to about working with him, actually. A friend of mine is friends with his friend. another wonderful filmmaker. And from her experience, and from what she said about what he said about Fincher, sorry, a lot of people, is that he really just loves the work, and he's really kind and respectful. And the only things I'd ever heard about Fincher were that he does a lot of takes. That's the only thing negative that even could be conceived as negative that I'd heard about him.
We recently had Carrie Coon on another one of our shows, and I feel like there's this conception that that could be a negative thing as a sign of like maybe perfectionism. And she was very into the idea of explaining how it's not that, how he wants to use that time to find the most human moment in a scene.
I respect his process so much because he doesn't waste anybody's time. Everybody who's in his movies ends up being wonderful in the finished project. And you know why? Because they were given every single opportunity to find the moment that he wanted to find, and the moments that he wants to find are really beautiful moments. Mank would be different with any other director. Of course, everybody has their own perspective and their own way of making things and their own views and angles, and amazing. That's why we don't just all love one type of anything. And the fact that the things that he wants to find are really beautiful, and when he casts someone, he believes he can find that in them, and then he looks for it, and you go on a journey together, and he helps you through it, and it's just like that's the point. Yes, did I feel like, oh God, okay, whew, I'm gonna be here for a while? Yes, at times, because I was newly pregnant at the end, and I was like, I'm gonna throw up. But I never did, which is good. And bagels and cream cheese were actually really the way to go. Literally, like, didn't have bagels and cream cheese for years, and they came back around. So full circle, anyway. And he helped me find the moments, and there they are, and it's a good performance. And that's what's so kind about him. He's not ever going to steer you wrong, and he is it by the end just to for the sake of the movie. Who cares? Everybody benefits.
Given his filmography and his reputation, I would trust him with just about anything.
That's another thing. It's very nice to walk onto a set where you trust every single decision the director's making.
Sticking with the many takes thing, because I can't help but to ask, what scene did you have to do the most takes on?
I mean, they're all about the same. No, we ended up reshooting a scene, so that's probably the one. 4 days and 4 days, I think. So 8 days.
See, that's another thing that has a negative connotation, reshoots. But meanwhile, it's built into the schedule, and it's there for a purpose. So I'm sure you're going to name drop the scene, and then I'm going to say it's great.
Oh, it's a great scene. I'm on the pyre.
Okay.
It's beautiful. Here's why I love that scene more than any other scene, is because we got to reshoot it, and I am so much better in it and was so much more comfortable. Because that was the first real scene I shot, and then we shot at the end, and even though I was pregnant and like feeling cold and a little ill, it was amazing. I was like, God, thank God we get to do this again. I get to find more and make it better and make it make more sense and be more comfortable, and all these amazing. And it was also really fun because it was the last thing that we got to do together.
I love that introductory moment, and it's like the cliche concept of a film is always like a moving finish line or goal line too. So I can understand the draw to wanting to fine tune things and get to revisit them and spend more time on them.
Oh, so worth it every minute. It was, and I thought I was going to be cold, but no, it was great. It gives me warm fuzzies to think about it.
So, given the fact that he likes to do many takes, what is it like shooting a super complicated dinner party scene with him? Does he have the luxury to do that when you're talking about many speaking parts, a ton of coverage, so much going on, or does he have to shift his process there?
I know we had all the time in the world. It felt like we had all the time in the world. Another luxury of working with David Fincher is that everybody trusts him, including the studio. So
Mhm.
he gets, I mean, from what I've observed, he gets the time he needs, and then some. So I don't. Maybe he did have to cut some corners, but I don't think he cuts corners. I just don't think he does, and like he shouldn't have to ever, ever. He should never have to. He's proven that his process works. So let's let him keep doing that. And those dinners, those dinner party scenes, man.
There's a number of very, very strong beats in that too. I'm curious if you can, if in a bigger sequence like that you're able to focus on specific lines, because for example, when she drops the line about the president's cabinet, I feel like that moment it's like the air is sucked out of the room, and it's so important for you to deliver that line the right way and then nail that reaction shot. So are you breaking a moment down to specifics like that, or
Oh
is
yeah.
it just working out?
No, we're doing it over and over again to find the right, just even, yeah, I mean, the milliseconds, telling a story, a whole story in one line. Uh, it's really tough, especially when you're not just, we're not isolating on that moment. We're shooting the whole scene over and over again. And there are like 8 people talking around each other. And so the beginning of that for me was just getting my cue right. Like making sure I hear our list behind me and making sure I hear everything that's going on so I know when to come in with my line, because it's not a back and forth. It was really tricky, actually. I don't think I've ever done something so tricky in that way. In like, all I want to do right now, my goal is to just hit the line when it needs to come. I'll worry about how the line sounds later, or like what the meaning behind the line is. Like it was a process, because I was terrified that I was gonna miss a beat and leave everybody hanging.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the many take things that I think would probably get stuck in my head, especially when you have a scene with a large ensemble around you, is just feeling like it's all on your shoulders, not to screw it up and then have to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knew we were gonna do it again anyway, and it's always kind of nice to know that we'd have many shots to do it.
Mhm.
But it's I think it's always scary, because you just want to meet everybody where they are. Nobody's meeting anybody meeting everybody halfway. Sorry, just giving the
Mhm.
same amount, showing up.
Especially when you have so many wonderful people around you too.
Don't want to screw it up. Yeah, you want to get as much as you can out of it, and you also want everybody to enjoy it. And I know it's not my business if people are enjoying it or not, but it's hard to not. I don't know. I think if anybody wasn't enjoying themselves, it would really trickle down and kind of be a bummer, but that wasn't really the case.
I had a good AD friend of mine for a while who every time, the atmosphere didn't feel right, he would just stand in the middle and say, "Guys, we're making a movie." And it
I feel
just
like I know that
changed the
guy.
mood.
What's his name?
His name was Avram Dodson, and we went to school together, and I will never forget him for that reason, because I think it always made a difference.
I feel like I knew somebody who did that too. Come on, it's fun. I think we all need those reminders sometimes in
Mhm.
any job. Like there's got to be a reason we're there. We're in it in the first
I would
place.
agree with that. I feel like these interviews are always firm reminders every single day I get to do them, that I freaking love this business so much, and I
Right.
just love storytelling too.
God, if you're good at it, you gotta do it.
Yeah.
And articulate things like, I certainly can't write, but I can, embody some people, and it's
You do
amazing.
that pretty well too.
Thank you.
Talking about working with Gary as a scene partner, what is something that he gives to you while you guys are working together that you wish more scene partners you had would bring to the process?
Oh, he's 100% there. He listens to everything. I'm not thinking about his next line. He's just listening to what I'm saying, which even the best of us sometimes freak out and forget what their next line is and try to remember it while somebody else is talking. Like everybody's done it. I've never felt Gary ever drop out of a scene, which is it's it's really great. I can't ask for anything more, even
Just
when he's on camera.
just because now I'm curious, what have you done in the past when you felt that happen in order to keep your performance intact and stay focused?
Not often, but like I'm sometimes pictured other people, like something that warms my heart or something that makes me feel something. Like I've had to go into my imagination, even though I'm having like a moment with somebody else on, I want to meet them, but if I can't be, if there's something, if there's some vacancy, you can fill it, even if like it's hard to do when you're looking at somebody, but I can think about something else. And it's I don't do it often, but it's something that I've had to do on occasion. But at least I have that. I'm glad I'm able to tap into that, or tap into like a beautiful image of something in my life or my children, or I don't know, anything.
I feel like that could come in handy in a variety of respects.
Yeah. I mean, even when you just want to change your perspective in 1 second, when you're feeling terrified about something, you picture something that makes you feel safe and could make you cry with, you know, I don't know, happiness or something.
I did want to wind down with one semi-spoiler question in case anybody out there has yet to see Mank, but I wanted to know your opinion on this. Do you think Marion ever forgave Mank in real life?
Oh yeah, she's not one to hold a grudge. Not from nothing that I have come to understand about her would make me think that she wouldn't just drop it. I think the scene, I think she's smarter than that. Like they had a relationship that was pretty solidified in that they felt very equal and very safe around each other, and they made each other laugh, and they spoke the same language in a lot of in a lot of ways. So I don't I think she understands what he was doing. um I'm not just saying that because of the movie. I really do believe she was cool enough to be like, understand what that was. It's a story, it's a script, it's you
You
have to.
you know her a lot better than I do, having done this project, but I feel like even in that last scene, in the way that they deliver those lines to each other, I feel like you can feel the undercurrent of that sentiment. So that was how I read it in this movie.
Oh, that's how I read it in the script. Nothing, not a lot could get between them. I think it's quite clear that they're um they're on the same page. No pun intended. Another thing I love about that script was so punny. He was so punny. Everything was just a pun. You read see the line after line. I'm just like, how can you keep up? It's really fun to watch on screen. I mean, from as an audience member, not just on set. I'd be standing up there in the pyre, just listening to his banter with Arliss and uh, Ferdinand, and I was like, this is so. I mean, I could watch this all day. Oh wait, I'm coming up. Oh, he's walking over to me. Okay, I have to get in character because there's just so much happening all the time, and you can keep track of it all. It's a smart script, smart director.
It's really something else. I've never seen anything like it. And seriously, congratulations.
Thanks.
Yet again, you're phenomenal.
Thank you so much. This was fun.